Wait, where are we? Wait. Oh, we're in Chakra 6. Our sight
and insight.
and insight. Hi, you know who I am. I'm Reverend Dr. Kat. We're at your best you. Come on in.
And come on in. I'm her co-host, Joan Kazmarzik. Welcome. We have a good show for you today.
What are we going to talk about, Joan?
Well, let's see. It's Chakra 6, so it's your third eye. So we're going to be talking about not only sight, but about insights.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit. But, you know, it's the holiday season still here in Nutmeg TV. This is the cornucopia I brought in. As a visual sight experience, we're really in September, of course, and it's episode number 59. Woo! And it's the first show of the fall season.
Woohoo!
So, you know, it's a good thing. I brought in some harvest type elements. But really, it's September, so, you know, our Thanksgiving and everything, it's a couple months away. But I wanted to start out the fall season with just a sense of a visual, it's not turkeys and everything, it's just a visual idea of the cornucopia and the harvest.
And celebrating fall.
Basically, yeah, fall celebratory mood. Coming from William Shakespeare, you know, who said basically that the eyes are the gateway or the window to our soul.
To the soul, yeah.
Right? And what else? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And then we have different levels of how we behold. You know, something that we think we're looking at with our own eyes is possibly and more likely than what's been programmed into our evolutionary growth process to register what we see with an identification. So, you know, this kind of thing when we think about eyesight or sight, oftentimes we're just thinking about like what I teased you with, coming up to the camera, you know, or I see, you know, kind of like what Joan said, which is, you know, the idea that we have our perception and we have this insight. So yeah, that's a cool thing, I think. But, you know, I was just going on a different level today because I thought, well, yeah, we know that stuff. We know it's in the third eye and we know about the meditating. I've done many shows on that, as you know. But then I started thinking about kind of what we've been going through. And our perception of something comes through our eye visual.
Okay.
But does it really? A culture can give you a perception that beauty looks like this.
Right.
So we say, oh, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But I say, oftentimes, the beholder's eyes have been set to a certain kind of frame to say, this is beauty. This is the signifier for the peace sign. This is the signifier for beauty. This is the indicator and signifiers, you see.
Yeah.
So when we think that we see something, that, you know, you're showing Johnny garlic. Garlic, Johnny. This is garlic. That's part of the speech, which we did last show, which was Chakra 5. And as I said to you, that encompasses more than just the word.
Yeah.
It has so much back to it. You can say something and it could have many different levels of meaning. And oftentimes it can be because it's been defined by society as having.
Yeah.
Snow, they would say for Alaskan, right? Would have how many different meanings?
Yeah, there's
okay,
the
So to get my drift where I'm going, I know this is new for Joan because I haven't brought this past her. I'm always sharing the things that I'm processing and learning and coming to with her. And I don't always give it to her right away because it's something that's new. And I'm processing it. But I wanted to bring this in this time because I thought it's interesting because, you know, we look at things, we think through the lens of what we think we're controlling, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm offering this opportunity for us with a higher conscious and a new reset, to say, wait a second, Mo, you know, what's that about? Because where am I getting this perception of something that it's defined as? You see, here's simple. You see a man in a suit.
Yep.
Well, he's an important man. Okay, that's importance. That's an indicator. And my eyes have seen it, and my mind has told me, or the stories that I've been told have told me, because we were telling stories throughout time. And the other aspect of it is that it starts to, you know, even if you're individuating and you're going, I think for myself, more than likely you've assimilated into the program.
Yeah. I mean, it becomes, it's part of your upbringing, even unconsciously.
It's part of the culture.
Yes.
You know, what's a good wife? Well, during the 1950s, we had Father Knows Best, and the good wife was the woman who had the apron on and stayed home. Well, that's, you know, or what's a strong man versus what's a strong woman, and then you see what that looks like. And it could be that the person is, but because your perception of what that is defined as changes. So there's a lot to the third eye. Because when we have that conscious insight, then we're able to, like, say, for example, well, wait a second. Even though the culture says that's not an acceptable bride for me, for example, and my community wouldn't understand, my insight tells me that it is. I don't know why I just gave that, because they always have these, you know, dating shows and everything going on all the time.
Exactly.
So it's a quick and easy reference for us, because we're always being measured in terms of, well, does that fit the definition of beauty?
Yeah.
Does that fit the definition of what we call a doctor? Does that fit the definition? And they have to look a certain way, and walk a certain way, and talk a certain way. And, you know, perhaps we have narrowed our perceptions myopically, and now we're coming to a place, I think, in culture, because of what happened, we've broadened our vision. Because when you shut down one part of your sensory perception, lasts for 2.5 years, this develops. This may have a hard time because it lasts for 2.5 years.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so, you know, our cellular being says, I'm going to adjust, I'll see better, or my sight is impaired, I'll hear better, you know, that type.
The other senses have to compensate.
They kick in.
And they'll compensate for the lack of the other one.
Right, anything that's down, another side will come up and say that it might not even compensate exactly how you want, but it's
right. But it's going
to make adjustments inside of your body. So, you know, so that's what I've been thinking about, just the kind of this idea of I saw the light, you know, I see, and I have insight. And if we are claiming that we've got to this place where we're reset and we have a higher consciousness and we're able to think out of the box, and all this thing started operating, and they did. I know they started operating because I've been doing this for about 15 years, and I was a lone wolf for a long time. But then I started noticing that the younger people, the languaging and the things that I have been talking about, that everybody's going, Kat, what are you talking about? They're now saying. So, you know, we feed the next generation, and I've done the videos and the writings and the things, and it's food, and the food becomes the thought, and so they get a different perspective. And there are others that do that. that are out pioneering and planting these different seeds. And then there's maybe the worker bees who come in, everybody's got a different role in a society.
Oh, yeah.
And so we all need one another, because without that, which, as a body, a body, another part's gonna get weak. And I think
Exactly.
a lot of people from all walks of life noticed that big time during these 2.5 years. It didn't matter if you were rich, it didn't matter if you were poor. All of the structures that were in place, even the queen had to sit alone in the church when her husband died with the mask on by herself and grieve. And those are the shifting structures. For whatever reason, there's a lot that we don't want to look at, that we need to look at, but we're not going to look at. The best way to deal with this is let's just move on. And that's not the best way to deal with it. I've never believed it is. I believe if we don't really study what we did, history will repeat itself. And that's what we've been doing as a civilization since the beginning of time. So is that going to change now? No, I don't care what kind of reset we had.
Yeah.
There's so many humans, and everybody's going through things at such a different level. And the main goal is to learn how to love one another. So, the more of the testing ground, the stronger the love gets, if you noticed. Love grows in difficult times.
Yeah, it does.
It just grows. It's like, wow, look at these people being so good to these people. That's Crystal. I'll tell you what it is. Shh. You're going to hear it too. It's funny. She has a little toy, and it makes a funny sound. But it was too far away, and she wanted it by her side. So now she has it.
So expect that there might be
You're going to hear
some
it.
noise.
But it's
When she
not too
rolls.
bad. It sounds like a little alien, which is apropos for us right now in our society. So,
She was just wagging her tail, so
yeah,
she's happy.
so yeah. Hear it. What's that sound it says? So what I'm saying is we hold images in our mind's eye.
Yeah.
But that's programmed.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And even by all the little kid shows that
Yeah.
you watch, it programs the information in.
I'm
so-
sure.
And we don't control that program.
No.
Even people who try to homeschool and try to protect their kids, from, I'm trying to keep my children innocent from the system and it's going to ruin them, and yeah, because it's the evolution of humankind and our civilization. And, we don't really know the whole story. So it's kind of like we have ideas because we've been telling stories since the beginning of time. But we don't have the answers. We think we do, and we hold on, we attach to certain concepts because it gives us that, okay, if I will hold on to this, everything's going to be okay, right? We even say that to one another.
Yeah.
I'm here for you. Just
Yep.
hold on, everything's going to be okay. So we have that programming. We have a lot of that. And so now when we wake up and we're able to start to really see things because we have a deeper insight, because we've been
Yeah.
okay, and we were told, hide, and there's a lot of psychological, there's a lot of emotional, there's a lot of fallout from this. And I am always teaching about self-care, self-love, self-value. And that is a really big part of insight. Because it's part of, you've built up now. Remember, 1, 2, 3, I'm talking the chakras, Roy, G, Biv. So now we're up here in indigo. The last road is the, violet, and then we come right back down. And as I said, we're doing that culturally. Right? We've just restructured everything. We're down here right now as a civilization on chakra 1, trying to get everybody back into the toe the line. See?
Yeah.
Toe the line, and so the shifts and the knowledge that you received, we want you to forget that. I'm not saying me, we. When I use we, I'm using it as universal controlling elite.
Yeah.
And people will often hear me say, we, or that's what, they're doing, or that's, so I'm always trying to speak outside of my personal experience and over that from what the powers that be, the puppeteers that are going, okay, hey, we don't want to talk about it anymore. Or hey, they're really important, wealthy people. We're not going to discuss that. We can censor that. This media company will censor, and that pharmaceutical company. And so we're constantly doing this perception game so that the human is then, what do I believe? What do I know? What can I see? Okay. Did this really happen? Of course it did. Well, I feel a little mad. What happened? Well, my brother died, my people died, I wasn't able to grieve, I lost my job, I lost my house, there was devastation and there still is. And it's just like, go back to work and forget it's over. Well, that is a method. It's a method, but it's not going to prevent
a repeat.
And so when this happened, I know you heard me talking because I'm a cancer survivor who went alternative. So I didn't want to do the drug scene that they were pushing because I see what happens. I saw it then, and it's still going on. To get these deep drugs that send instead of addressing it. And then you've got numbers of people. I gave the numbers at the beginning of COVID. How many people die every year from cancer? Just one kind of cancer in the United States. And then we unleash a monster and we go, we don't want to see it anymore.
Yeah.
This is perception and insight.
Yeah.
And this is the Chakra 6. So, you might get a teacher who would say, oh, mana, this is all about the meditation and you sit and you meditate. Yeah, you do. You do that. And I've done shows on that. And I'm not negating that element of Chakra 6, which is, to garner the pineal gland and to increase the ability. I meditate every day. I'm a Reiki, yoga, everything, But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a fresh and relevant topic about how we see things. I'm expecting that you all, by this time, after they've talked about meditation for the past 2.5 years, certainly, I've been talking about it for, I don't know how long.
Longer than that.
But, now everyone has heard about it, and many of the things that I'm talking about, everyone has heard about it, because everyone had to go in, and then we had access, and suddenly people became expanded, and then, there was a keeping the masses kind of fighting each other, okay? So that there's no getting together in a strength and a power of a human race, but divided, united we stand, divided we fall. So, if they can keep people pitted against each other all the time, the ones who are in control then can control it.
Right.
If the people come along and say, you know what, we're kind of tired of this and we're going to unite, there would be change. But what ends up happening is division comes in. And division comes in because of programmed insight. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So hate is programmed. I had something I showed you on LinkedIn. A woman put up, and she was supposedly an expert and doctor in psychiatry or psychology, something about how her daughter was adopted and she came home and they were bullying her.
Yeah.
And so then the mother went back and basically told the daughter, well, you tell them that, you were selected and they didn't have a choice. And I said to her, that kind of thing, you've just programmed that child with hate and more discord. That's not healing either party. That's just, and then drop the mic kind of thing. Oh, boom, peace out. And that's like, what is that? Okay, is that supposed to be advanced psychological, how we deal with bullies? Not just bullying back. I'm like, okay, so we're not going to go anywhere if we keep that up.
That does not fix it.
Well, I don't think we can ever fix it.
I don't think we can ever fix it.
But I think if we can learn to be more loving towards one another. And so understanding that poor child who said whatever it said to that child only said it because it heard it from its parents. So the children's food first comes from the parents. So the parents who give birth or who adopt or who bring in the children are there, they hear everything and they watch everything. Why? Garlic, okay? That's why. Because their brain is growing and they're programming and they're feeding, and then they see how you behave and what you do, and then Johnny and Sally repeat it, and then poor little other Sally, who's in her other home, whose parents don't behave that way, goes, why are you doing this to me? I'm going to do this to you. Well, none of that produces anything that's a positive love and light energy.
No, it doesn't.
So our perceptions can increase, and we can get to the place where we're like, I see, I can see. But then there's something about our ego and that saboteur that comes in and goes, my way or the highway is what I see, you see. And they bullied my kid. Well, we should be able to do anything to their kid. I'm like, yeah, right. Like, this should have been discussed with the parents, and the children should just stop being used as pawns. But the parents are being used as pawns and puppets by their bosses, and their bosses are using them as pawns, and that trickle down of toxic workplace and all that has been going on and developed over the course of these past 50 years. And before that, it was other workplace issues, not to speak of child labor,
Yeah.
the little chimney sweeper kids with Charles Dickens. We just keep doing this. And I guess my call out, to society while I'm here walking on planet Earth is just basically, we really do have to learn how to love ourselves first. And that's, people go, I love myself. I'm not sure, because the way you're behaving, you wouldn't do this to your child. You wouldn't do this to your pet. But look what you're doing to yourself. Would you feed your child that? Would you drink? Would you do those things? Well, I'm an adult. I get to choose what I want to do. Like, bravo for you. Go ahead. Keep up that self-destructive path,
Yeah, really.
Basically. So, and feel good about it. So we're growing. And we're all in different phases of it. And, that's why I'm always light and making fun, because it's like, hey, look, I've come through my whack job journey too. How do you think I got where I am now? I've been through it. I've been through a lot, But what I did do was, because of what I was through, it forced me into isolation for almost 15 years now. Because back when I had the cancer, they said, don't tell anybody, don't let anybody know,
Yeah.
hide it, hide who you are, hide everything. And that went on until just recently. Unless you got in the little ribbon walk around the park with the other ladies, you had to make believe, and it wasn't never true. And if you were able to kind of keep yourself together, people would look at you like, what's wrong with you? Just the lack of
You don't look
consciousness.
sick.
Who cares you got radiated 50 times by extra radiation? What's wrong with you? Now the long haul COVID people will start to get the feeling of what that's like.
Yeah.
Because people are like, what's wrong? I had COVID and I got it. And then there are some people they can't even walk now because of the vaccines. I'm just saying, guys, we gotta learn how to love one another and open our perceptions as we're going through this portal together as this whole civilization. I'm not talking about just here in Connecticut. I'm talking about across the globe. It's time. We woke up, got all disrupted, got silenced, got censored, got isolated, then told, come on out, everything's fine, nothing happened, just get back. So, and then they're like, well, there's a lot of mental disorders, and now you're going to need to take a test. And, well, I would say start getting your food in order, stop drinking, get your rest, start to focus on yourself, do some meditating. And then, yes, if you're in a really dire situation, you definitely want to, seek help. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But also, start to kind of become a self-responsible, owning what you're doing, and realizing a lot of the things that our body and our mind are reacting to and how they handled it. Like, ask yourself, remember what I said during the COVID isolation? The perfect time to go in, meditate, get all this done. I said this for 2.5 years. But a lot of people did, hey, it's a great time to party. And I'm going to have more of this, and I'm home, they didn't shut down the spirit shops.
No,
that was considered essential. So, so everybody then started to do kind of disconnecting in that way. That's not self-value. I mean, it's okay for relaxation and for recreational, occasional, but if it becomes your pattern, which is what happened for 2.5 years. It became psychotic. I'm just saying, and in order for people to be able to change that pattern, you have to change the pattern. And I'll talk about it more in the next show, but it is about changing a pattern. And again, I'll talk about it because there's a lot of self-ownership. And if you can get to the place where you recognize yourself and some of the things that are going on, and you start making those small changes, it's amazing how the brain and the body just starts, it's like this, and next thing you know, it's like when you take up an exercise program or anything, all of a sudden it's like, I can't believe I was doing it that way before. I feel so much better. It's the same kind of thing, except it's on more of a spirit, soul, psychic, but it gets into the emotions. It's that whole chakra journey. So, I'm going to close this episode out, and we'll talk more in the next one. I'll have Joan come back and start out talking about kind of where we left off and her input on that. And we'll be right back in the next show. Thanks so much for stopping in. This is heavy stuff. I'm not saying go meditate and close the room and listen to the Om Namah Shivaya. Because when you come out, and if you're doing the same thing as when you came out of that church and you start doing that activity, you didn't get nothing. So it's a lot better to sit down and start to journal some things like, hey, where am I weak? And what triggers me? And where do I need some growth? And kind of those kinds of things. What did I learn? What are some of those questions that I have? Write them on a piece of paper. I'll see you next time. Until then, be your best you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for coming in.